welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. We're really excited today. We have two actors here today to talk with us about a movie that just premiered on UPtv, and it's going to be playing again throughout the season. We watched Christmas on Fifth Avenue, and I really enjoyed it. So we're so excited to have Kathryn Davis and Olivier Renaud here to talk about their film. And thank you so much both for coming on the podcast.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thanks for having us both.
Yeah. So what we like to do is give you both a chance to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about how you kind of got started in acting and working in films. So Kathryn, why don't you start?
Sure. So hello, I'm Kathryn. Originally hail from the southwest of England, but I've been living in Canada on and off since I was little. I use an American accent though in this movie, so hopefully you can't tell. Yeah, I was exposed to pantomimes, ballet, theater, musical theater shows growing up. So my mom always, every single birthday, we would go see a show or something. So I always loved it from the get-go. And then I was doing theater pretty much throughout all of high school. And then when I left high school, I was like, okay, well, I want to study this professionally. So I ended up trying out for some theater programs and got into a Bachelor of Fine Arts acting program in Toronto, which is where I hail from now. And altogether was like 4-year program. From there, I've been working professionally, I like to say, in various sorts of like video games and TV, film. And yeah, I'm classically trained theater actress, but mostly the medium of TV and film is where I ended up branching into. So that's a bit about me.
That's great. What about you, Olivier?
Hey everyone, my name's Olivier. I guess I have that in common with Kathryn. I'm also trained in theater. I was born in Ottawa, Canada, and I lived abroad most of my life. And I came back to Montreal to study business of all things. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. Joined a cheerleading squad, got cast by Cirque du Soleil, went on tour, loved it. Then decided I didn't want to do that anymore because sometimes it's really painful. And then decided to go to New York and live there for 4 years and study theater under William Esper and Terry Knickerbocker, which changed my life for the best. Came back to Montreal and then Toronto and started doing film and TV ever since. So it's been three years now that I've been living in Toronto. But yeah, just like Kathryn, I guess I'm trained in theater. So
was it in Toronto where you like auditioned and were cast for this movie?
For both of us, yes.
Yeah.
It was kind of a COVID. I'm pretty sure, Ollie, you got a direct offer. I had to do like a very last minute audition. Like I had to get the audition in. It was with Brainpower, who we both worked with before. And yeah, I had to do it via self-tape remotely because of the current climate. Everything.
Yeah, it's true. Because of COVID, a lot of things were different. I did get a direct offer, but you're making me think, Kathryn, we met on the set of The Wedding Planners briefly.
Yeah.
Where I was like, oh wow, who is this person? She's so lively. And then lo and behold, fast forward like a year later, we get to share the screen together, which was a really, really nice surprise. So yeah, I was lucky I got an offer, but yeah, Kathryn's right, because of COVID, it was different. Hopefully we'll get back to some normalcy soon.
Yeah. When you auditioned, did you audition in the American accent or in your regular accent?
No, American. So they really wanted to test me, because some of the projects I've done with Brainpower before, it's been English accent and then North American. So they wanted North American. And yeah, my audition, the actual audition scene itself was the big confessional, not to give any spoilers away, but the whole how do I describe this? Like,
yeah, we're gonna give spoilers. So
okay.
The movie's already come out. I feel like it's
okay.
fine.
Yeah. Confessional scene between Eva and Lucas. That was my audition piece. So throw it in on the heavy side there, definitely.
Yeah. So
right into it.
yeah. So how did you get such a good American accent? That must have been a process
It's
to
I
work
think
on it.
going in Canada on and off, I can sort of slip into it if I have a script. If I'm doing it sort of on the fly, you know, I go into my head and I pronounce something and I'm like, oh no, that wasn't North American sounding, like, you know, on the vowels, something like that. But with a script, I can kind of drop into it. And then we have a great sound engineer on set as well, Bobby, that was, if he heard something like a little bit of an inkling, he'd kind of give me a whisper in the ear and I would be like, okay, cool, next take, gonna nail that one. So yeah,
You
I
did a
had
great job.
rooting for me. And for the most part, like, I think the production manager that I did some voiceover with after remotely, she was like, I had no idea you were English. I'm like, oh well, yay. Because yeah, that was sort of one of the kind of pressures I felt to make sure that I had the
Yeah,
flawless accent coming through. So
I think you
hopefully,
did a great job.
yay.
It was really good. And I thought that the two of you had really good chemistry in the movie. And I was just curious if you did like a chemistry read or anything like that.
No,
No, we did.
before, well, briefly, not never directly in scenes, but we'd been in like holding together. And then when I found out you were cast, we sort of touched base over like Instagram, and then kind of did some readings via Zoom as well. Like we were working through the script, just getting to know each other a little bit more, about maybe 3 weeks before we went to camera. And then throughout the process, we would sort of work together, rehearse lines even at nighttime after we'd finished, kind of thing. So it was all about sort of building like a trust between us, because there's, you know, intimacy that you have to portray on camera and everything. You just want to make sure that you're connected. And we like to challenge each other a lot, I feel. Ollie, I'm not sure what you think, but definitely we like to, sometimes this genre has a bit of a formula, and I don't want to say an inevitability, but definitely we're seeing things in the script, and we had a very safe environment with Amy Force, the director, that we were able to kind of, you know, question things and change things and, you know, switch things around to our language so that it could kind of, it was a little bit more truthful, I think.
Yeah. So you had some flexibility with the script a little bit.
Well, some flexibility. But definitely there was a sort of ad hoc, I want to say, effort to sort of get to know the person behind the character. As I mentioned, I remember us meeting at Brainpower before, and I feel like we kind of just clicked when we met at for wedding planners. And I think that the people at Brainpower sort of know they're very really good at casting. Rebecca Lamarche is really good at understanding and seeing, oh, this person would fit really well with this other person. I think she has an eye for casting, and you know, I don't think enough can be said about the process and the gift of casting. I think it's something that we overlook a lot of the times. And if there's if there is, and I do agree with you, there is really good chemistry between us, there's also work to be done. And I think that we did exactly what we needed to do, which is to say, as you mentioned, we would meet, have conversations, and honestly, not just talk about the the project itself, but even just ideas, like get to know the person in front of you. I really enjoyed getting to know Kathryn on a personal level, and seeing what her ideas were. I didn't know that where she came from and all that stuff. So I get to speak to that person directly when, you know, the lines that I can't really change are presented before me. And she's right. I mean, working with Amy is such a delight, because she offers questions. She, you know, what if, or what do you think about ... And that challenging, I think, then pushes both of us to look at it differently. And there's a huge sense of play, especially, you know, from Kathryn's side. I think that because she's trained that way, right? I mean, she was always bringing something new to the game. So it was fun to see how much we could push the envelope, and then maybe sometimes reel it back, because I tend to go a little far.
Well, yeah, it was really important because it's almost the whole movie. It's just the two of you in the apartment.
Yeah.
So if the
Mhm.
chemistry is not there, it would be insufferable. You wouldn't be able to, you wouldn't enjoy it. But I thought it was, so it worked for me.
Yeah, I'm thinking about that moment where I get hit in the face with the door. I kind of wanted to offer that to Kathryn, to say, hey, how much fun would it be to you if you were to hit me in the door and hit me in the face with the door. And oddly enough, she jumped at that opportunity.
Yeah. Oh, that was your you came up with that, because that was a really funny scene. It was a great meet cute. And then when you've got the candy cane.
Oh yes, that was really,
funny.
really fun. Again, that was like Amy being very, very open to the idea. We had a lot of really silly behind the scenes shots of us like pretending to duel with candy canes and everything. And yeah, when it was scripted, it's sort of like, you know, we run up and it was scripted that Eva wields it like a weapon. And I was sort of thinking like maybe baseball. And I was like,
Yeah,
you know what?
it's good.
Tribute to the swashbuckling movies I've grown up watching and loving and stuff. So we try to.
Yeah. Someone with my skill can turn anything into a weapon.
You got it, girl. Absolutely.
That's good.
It's hard to not laugh at that moment. It was hard.
Yeah. Thank God that shot it was like what's considered a dirty shot on Ollie's back, so he didn't have to see his face or anything. Like probably more the eye rolling, I think generally we would bring out in each other, like, oh God, really? Oh no.
Well, and I liked that you had the conversation of that your character Olivier is a sad alone Scrooge, not a mean Scrooge. And because I think that that's key in this movie as well, because your character is very grumpy, at least for a lot of the movie, but he's not, I don't think he's not mean, he's not unlikable, but just kind of sad.
Yeah, I think Lucas, you know, we all have bad days, and then bad days translate into bad weeks, and then so on and so forth. And, you know, when we do have that reveal that he's, you know, he's a widower or has lost someone very important in his life, we sort of understand. We get to appreciate where he's coming from, even though, you know, there's this angel from above being sent to get him out of his rut. It's just, I guess it's just fun to see the character go through the troves of and the difficulties of wanting to stay so attached to the identification of like, oh, you know what, this is what I do, and I eat I eat, you know, granola bars, and I drink espresso, and that's just what I do. And
I thought they were noodles, Mr. Noodle things.
Oh yeah, the espresso noodles. Yeah.
Granola bar. Okay, you're a little healthier than I suspected.
I'm just going off of what was there.
I liked how everything in the apartment just slowly started to morph as like you got to know each other more, and you all of a sudden there's decor on the kitchen cabinets and things like that. Like,
yeah,
a gift kind of like explodes, and there's like Christmas everywhere overnight. It's magic. Eva is determined to get the magic going, and overnight, I think the first encounter that we have with each other, and then my conversation with the parents, I'm like, well, I've got 5 hours before I have to be up. Decorate.
Yeah.
So
did you guys shoot this in Toronto? Was it in Toronto?
Sorry, was it filmed?
Yeah.
Just north of Toronto.
Okay.
So around that area, and then around huge Lake Ontario, just around the lake a little bit. Some of the outside shots were filmed in Hamilton as well. So
now, Kathryn, since you're a trained singer, was it hard for you to actually sing off key? Did you have to focus?
There was a little part of me that was sort of like, he came up to me at one point and said, "Let it loose," sort of thing. I'm like, okay, because there was a little part of me that just wanted to be a little bit more conservative about sort of bellowing out in off-key manner itself. So it was like, yeah, a little tricky. And those are actually like sound muffling those headphones as well. So I literally could not hear direction of it. I'm sorry, what? In the middle of it. So a little bit of a challenge, especially because it's like a Christmas hymn, I suppose, that I've done like on and off since I was little. Everything with that. Like, you know, growing up in primary schools in the UK and having to do like Christmas pageants and everything each year. So yeah, that was a fun scene, definitely.
So, so when you, Olivier, have to, when you scold her for granting wishes for her job, that's a tough scene, I feel like, because that's pretty harsh that he, she has to make a living and he knows that, but he's just kind of bitter. I don't know. How did you approach that scene?
Um, I mean, I think as actors, we just have to play every note of our emotional piano. And I think that, even the people we love the most can be a source of anger. So it was terribly easy to go there. But the minute I would look at Kathryn, I'd be like, oh, I can't get mad at her. So I had to, I had to find something that and I'm never going to reveal this, but I had to find something that she would either do or say that would get me angry, and then it would get me there. No, there's nothing to reveal. It's just, I think there's a particularization that we need to do, and I think that that's just the fun part of acting, is and it's fun within the frame of what Kathryn was talking about, of this movie, to have that opportunity to, that I was at a 3 there, but to go to those places, just because it's so difficult. Look at her.
Well,
She's lovable.
it makes the ending, when you talk about that you had been in this dark place and all this stuff, that it makes that more meaningful because we've seen it. Like, we've seen the transformation in the movie of the character.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that if we want to have that moment shine, then I have to go to those places, the sort of like the ebbs and flows of those places, so that the character can be justified at the end. And again, I love having a partner like Kathryn, who can just play with me the whole time and catch me on the other end of that, but also having Amy say, try it, just see what happens, and then we'll reshoot it. So we had, at least in my opinion, an incredible sense of play. There was just a lot of play, and discovering that frame. Yeah, there's a frame that you get to play in, and then we get from that whatever they want to put on the final cut. But there's nothing more fun for an actor, at least in my opinion, to have that space of discovery, that laboratory of, let's have a process rather than just a results. So I was really happy for that.
I liked the 2 scenes. One where you're making the grilled cheese. That was cute. I thought that was fun. And then also the whole scene with the gingerbread house.
Yes.
That was my favorite too. Yeah, I love
that. Was really fun. Because gingerbread houses are impossible. They're so
that
hard.
One would not break. Paul Lamper, that designed all of the food. Olivier, you cannot take credit completely for that grilled cheese. It was Paul that was doing that for us.
I was just about to say that grilled cheese is not mine. That is all Paul.
No, and oh my gosh, how many were? I dread to think how many there were. But that gingerbread house, there was no way that was going to shift. It was so solid, so sort of playing on the fragility of that gingerbread house. Literally, I think if you pushed it between me and the gingerbread house, I would give way. That thing was not going to be moving anywhere.
It's like super glued together.
Yes. Yeah, basically. Yeah.
That's the only way to do it. They just fall apart. Like, they're a nightmare. So I thought that was funny, and a fun moment between the 2 of you. And like, I feel like this movie, it transitioned from the enemies, it did enemies to lovers really well, that trope. And you have to, and it's tricky because if you keep them against each other for too long, then you don't like either of them, and you don't want them to get together, and you don't feel the chemistry. But so you have to make it right at sort of the right moment. And I think those 2 scenes were kind of the key moments of when it kind of switched.
Yeah, and even in the writing, I think that, Eva's constantly and relentlessly offering, new things. And I think that's what's beautiful. I think that, how many of us kind of can admit to the fact that we want a partner who will just, show up for us all, like, over and over and over again. And And then for Lucas to just finally go, okay, take stock, like this person's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Like he's doing these things, and just let go of that. And yeah, I think the rhythm and the writing gave us that leeway.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast.
Cozy up with A Very Bavarian Christmas, a delightful Christmas novel by Katie M. Reed.
Holly Noel Brigham is trapped back in her hometown personalizing ornaments at the mile-long Christmas store, and she doesn't even like Christmas.
As Holly works through fractured relationships and embarrassing misunderstandings, she stumbles upon love in the Bavarian-themed town from which she tried to distance herself.
Best-selling author Crystal Payne says this about A Very Bavarian Christmas. If you're looking for a holiday-themed read that will warm your heart, but also make you think, this is the perfect pick. The storyline and characters draw you in from the get-go, and you'll find yourself relating to their struggles and cheering for their victories.
Available in paperback, ebook, and audiobook.
Pick up A Very Bavarian Christmas for yourself and the Hallmark fans on your list at averybavarianchristmas.com.
That's averybavarianchristmas.com.
Yeah, I think so too. And I really enjoyed the whole scene at the, I guess it's the snowball. I mean, I thought that was a beautiful dress they had for you, Kathryn.
Yes.
Yeah.
I needed the two dresses to try, and one of them was very, very kind of one shoulder, big red frill around, and very, very form-fitting. Like after 12 hours of filming, my belly would not be in the position I want it to be in. And then I had that one, which had the layers of tulle and everything underneath. And when they, I tried the two, and of course it's up to the costume designers and everything for the final choice and the producers to approve everything. So when I got to see that it was the green dress, I was like, oh yes. And we had some incredible costume team on set that, like even the little belt and everything that's not originally with the costume. So it's, Brainpower themselves are incredible at a nurturing talent as well. People in all positions of crew, and even myself, like I started with a 3-liner role back in 2018, and they just nurture and allow you to explore, but also to learn. It's very much like a set where, the camera operators themselves, camera assistants, maybe it's, their second project. So they're being entrusted each time going up. And with the costume team and everything, they allow them to have that little say. So I think the belt choice, I believe, was Arthur. I think I have to throw it out to Arthur there, because he said, oh, maybe, put the little belt on. So
yeah, I liked it. It was good.
Everything.
And Olivia, we don't often get men in tuxes in these movies. That's very rare. And because usually it's like the hometown, hunk in the small town. So you're not getting tuxes. And I was like, yes.
I love a good tux. Yeah. Yes. And I think I have to echo what Kathryn was saying. There was a lot of attention to costume design, and it's a well-oiled machine. I think Brainpower does what it does best because of the fact that it listens, but also because it offers, a certain space to try and trial and error and play. And so I didn't know that you guys didn't get a lot of tuxes. I'm sort of new at this, and but hey, I'm happy to hear. I mean, maybe call the people over at whoever's making 007. Maybe see if they'll see me. I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, more tuxes, please. It was good, and then you get the whole thing with you untying the bow tie, and that's just a sexy look. Cool. I'm sorry.
Cool. Yeah, that was cool.
It was good. And then I loved the whole scene where y'all are watching the Nutcracker or whatever it was, the Nutcracker music, and you just get this like long lingering look at her, which is usually it's in like the Jane Austen movies, like, that Darcy will just be like staring uncomfortably long at Lizzie. But I love that whole thing. It's so romantic, I think. Like it probably shouldn't be romantic. It probably would make you very uncomfortable if someone's doing it in real life, but in the movies, I really like it.
Yeah, when you're doing it, or when you feel like you're doing it, you're kind of like, this is not okay.
Right.
And that was also the first scene we shot.
It was.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. So yeah, then you all have this fight after the party, this fight, and you, Kathryn, say your character says, "I want to find love. I think it's worth, searching for, but it doesn't seem to be finding me." And I thought that was another good scene that I liked. I thought you did a good job there.
Thank you. That one was one of the last scenes of the day, and we had to kind of get it all under wraps pretty quickly. And I remember the producer showing up on set and everyone's like, oh, kind of thing, like, no, we gotta get everything moving. And again, we had so much opportunity to kind of play, because not sure if you do hear in the scene, but I mispronounced the word canapé, and that wasn't scripted. So that was
Okay, yeah.
Sure, Ollie, you figured that out. You're like, oh, it'd be fun if it was sort of that. And Amy just was like, let's try it. And I think we did one take where I do it normally, and then the other when I was mispronouncing. And what I did actually love about the end result of it is that it had the little play shot on you, Ollie, as well as being like, canapes, just this bewilderment that I could pronounce that word wrong. And I had no idea that they'd actually like locked that in as coverage on you. So that made me, that gave me a good smile. That made me smile a lot there. But yeah, that was, again, a scene that when you have a partner like Ollie that is so receptive and very giving, it's easy to find that vulnerability. But at the same time, like, Amy, the director, she was saying, like, don't make her too, she said, not whiny, but she's like, you want to root for her still. You don't want to make her seem like, because one take I'd been really like, why didn't want to find me? And she's like, no, have like, a strength under that, just almost, but like a bewilderment that you just don't understand that so much love that you give out in the world, if it's, the universe granting it back, that I seem to be a bit devoid in that area of my life. So I think the end is that it played really well.
Yeah, and well, your character could have easily been a manic pixie dream girl kind of character, that's only there to make the man happy, which I don't care for that trope. But I think that you had enough sort of story and weight on your own character. Like, you didn't exist in the story only to cheer him up and make him happy. And so I think that could have easily gone that way, but it didn't. So I was glad for that.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing Amy and knowing Kathryn, it would have never gone that way. And that's why we had a powerhouse team working on this, and just such a beautiful way of looking at things, going, oh, we see where the trap is. Let's just go right over that, or let's not fall into that trap.
Yeah. So then you have the proposal the wish proposal thing that you're managing, and then he brings your parents into town. That was, and then you kiss him when you see that. And I thought that was such a cute scene that you're just like, you just went for it. It was great.
Yeah, that was, oh my gosh, was that day 3, 4?
It was pretty early on. Yeah. I remember being surprised, doubly surprised.
It's good.
Yeah, when he does this surprise of my parents being there, it was an incredibly hot day, and we were just sort of layered up, as you film Christmas movies in the middle of the summer. So I just remember it being extremely hot, and getting that shot and everything. Like, sometimes we're up on apple boxes, and I guess elevated a little bit, just because everything is about, framing, and, they're spraying fake snow all over the bright green leaves, everything in this park. And I remember a few times the apple box is not quite being level, as I have to go in and kiss, and then I have to back up, and I'm like trying to hope that I'm not going to fall flat off of the boxes. Sorry, I have such a yappy little puppy in my building right now. Daddy.
We're pet friendly podcast. It's fine. Yeah, I liked it. It was really cute. It was true to her character, and it was fun to see his response to Lucas's response to that moment. It was great. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah.
And I think the way it was, we set it up. There was I think I may have misread, or I don't really remember, but I was surprised that we were, the kiss is sort of the pivotal moment in these types of movies. And so we sort of broke that formula by
Yeah.
having, that kiss happen.
Earlier.
And it sort of threw me for a loop, because I thought, well, already? Is this, wait, which scene are we filming? When is this in the story, etc.
Yeah.
And so I think carrying that into the character really helped the reaction. Yeah, so it was funny.
Yeah, I really like that too, that a lot of times you get the near kiss at about that moment, but here she just went for it, and that was true to her personality. It was cute.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
Then we have this whole scene where she puts her heart out there and she says, all I want is to love someone. I'm falling in love with you. And I've never once had to put on an act. And that was so like sad when you're holding her hands and you just walk away. And I was like, oh, that was very good. You did a good job with that.
That was tough.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much being received from what, Eva is saying, but, what Kathryn is saying through Eva, that, as an actor and as a person, I just want to give her a big old hug. And so, yeah, I remember having a hard time thinking, oh, how do I break free from this? And this is when Amy was really helpful. She even helped choreograph that moment to have it look more organic, and settling into that moment of just, undoing that, it's like a bridge being built, and I just light it on fire ever so subtly. And it really helped to have her there to just say, hey, what would it be like to just let go of something that could potentially be really good for you? And that stuck with me. And it really helped. It reverberated throughout the rest of the shoot, I believe. But again, I think that it really helped to have her choreograph that, or help choreograph that, and have so much sincerity and generosity from Kathryn. I just needed to react. That was it. Mm-hmm. Not much work.
And just leaving off with love is a gift, not a curse, was just it was so good. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we get the ending with you being her final wish granted for Christmas. And you get his book, which I thought was cute. And then I just loved it. It was so romantic. I was living in the dark for 3 years. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. I love you. My heart is yours forever if you'll have me. My heart. That was so good.
Rachel Milton.
So good.
Molly.
Yeah. I mean, and it's such a short period of time, but like I bought it. I thought it was. I sometimes when I think, and in this case, these two characters, they knew they didn't need any more time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's akin, and I don't know what you think about this, Kathryn. I think we even talked about that while we were talking about the different scenes. But this was shot during a pandemic, quarantine. We're trying our best to respect the ever-changing needs of what we needed to do around COVID-19. And I don't know about you guys, but a lot of stories started popping up for me around my social circles about people either breaking up or getting married and having kids after knowing each other for 4 weeks. And you can't, I mean, I think we chose not to ignore some of that stuff, just to say, well, okay, well, what's the culture of what's happening outside of what we're shooting, and how can we use it to infuse what's happening inside? And it's not beyond the realm of imagination that these people could have met in a pandemic and just said, okay, well, now we have to live together. How do we make this work?
Yeah, that's a good point. That it did kind of, it had that one room kind of quality that a lot of us experienced for like 2 years. Yeah, yeah, that's true. And her response, "Of course I will. I love you, Lucas." It was so cute. It was very good. Like she knew. There was no doubt.
Yeah.
And then he opens the diamond store for her on Christmas. "I hope you can go in there and pick one you like and wear it for the rest of your life." I've never heard a proposal like that before, but it was so cute. I enjoyed it. Was that like a real diamond store that you were in front of?
It was a bridal store. So
Okay.
not specifically diamonds itself, but all of the attire, everything for weddings.
Mhm.
It's really sweet being in there and being processed, with makeup and hair. And on the walls were all pictures of brides that have been, have gone there for their gown fittings and everything, and then gotten married. And so their pictures of their big day were on there. The proposal day itself was something that Brainpower had never seen before. And we were literally, what was it? What would you describe it as, Ollie? A typhoon?
I was going to ask if it was rainy. It seemed like it was rainy.
Yeah, it was raining sideways.
I think early June.
Yeah.
Freezing cold. So the pink on our noses, that's not makeup, or the breath coming out, that's not special effects after. That was the real thing. We actually had to wrap early that day. We had one more scene to film outside that day, and they were like, we can't do this, so they wrapped, and we ended up like going home a bit earlier that production day itself. But it was still very sweet. I think almost, Ollie, you had to not laugh a few times when the rain was in my direction. I have eyelashes down here on some shots, and they'd have to bring me back in and literally try and blow dry us and pat us down dry and then put us back out. But the crew were just like titans that day. They, there's a lot of, they kind of, I don't know, they really looked after Ollie and I and everything, but everyone else was in it with us. So, at the end of the day, we're like, thank you so much. Like, Aaron, our first AD and everything, he was outside with our director of photography, Jeff, the whole day. They didn't have any respite from that cold. And that was a challenge in itself, Professor Love in the middle of a storm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting.
I think it really helped. I think it really also it really brought that sort of New York texture of how you still show up for work. It's raining, but you still go to work, and the oversized. I kind of wish we had even if as a prop an umbrella, because I feel like if I was standing there, I'd probably have an umbrella.
Oh yeah,
and
that would have been cute.
have that whole thing of like, I've been waiting for you, and I kind of feel like it fits. And there's another thing, one beautiful thing about that shoot day was that it was cold, it was wet. I mean, I think there was issues as well with like subs or something, like everything was just not working. And a lot of us, including myself, were kind of like, oh man, like this is so tough. And it's so easy to just get lost in reactivity to what's happening. And then I look over to my shoulder, to my left, and I see Kathryn, and she's, as I said, it's raining sideways, and her smile is just incessant from ear to ear. And she's coming in and out of holding, just like, oh my God, we're doing a movie, we're making a movie. And I'm like, why can't I have that? Like, and then I just decided I would, and then it made things better. But to have someone like that, and I just remember having a conversation with several departments going, how does she do that? Where does she get that energy? And it made me really, really grateful for the present. As she said, as Kathryn said, we were all in this together. And it made me really question how I show up in life and on film and in every waking situation, that you can either choose to say, oh, it's raining sideways, my makeup, my hair, no. Or you can do what I call the Kathryn method and just be like, hey, aren't we having the best time? It's raining on all of us.
Yeah,
So
I love that.
It much better.
It's like a real life Lucas and Ava transformation.
But I think a couple times, the scenes, the day we filmed the gala, of course, depending on location that you're using, sometimes you will shoot a number of scenes in all areas of the movie. So one of the scenes I'd filmed earlier that day was with Robert Ball and Cara, and it had been the proposed, when he's in the hotel being like, oh no, I want something bigger, I want something more grand. And then, you get switched up and then you're in the gown and you're doing the gala sequence, everything. And I think I remember talking to you, Ollie, at one point, and I was standing in heels the whole day, and he's like, do you want to sit down or something? Like, are you tired? Because I'd been there since 6 a.m. or something. I'm like, nope. Just because for me it is something that I know that I wanted and I worked towards, and to be granted the opportunity to have like the first lead and carrying that weight on the shoulders the first day of filming, I was sort of like, ugh, kind of thing. And then I had so much support from my family and friends and beautiful actors that I worked with on set, like Randy Thomas and Tondra Richardson, who play my parents. Like my first scene of the entire film was post breakup in the restaurant with my parents. And I met Tondra that morning as we'd been driven up an hour and a half to set. And then I met Randy in processing, and they were just so warm and so supportive that, I kind of got out of my head of feeling the pressure of, oh my gosh, I've got to carry this. Oh no, they're watching for my accent. Oh, this, oh, that. And just, let it go. And talking to my brother as well that night, he's just like, get out of your head, just do it. And then of course, working with Ollie was just a dream. The whole sequence, Cara, everything, that you have such warm bodies. And another thing brain power is so good at is bringing great people together, talent, but also just warmth and generosity of spirit as well.
That's great.
Every day
Yeah,
you've got wonderful people that you get to, you're making magic at the end of the day. I'm like, we're making a movie.
Yeah.
And love. Who's not gonna be happy?
Yeah. Well, I think it paid off. I really enjoyed it. I don't always do this, but I contacted Emily and I just said it up, and I just said, I really liked this movie. I want to talk to them. And I think you did a good job. And we like to end our interviews with some fun, silly questions. So we have some Christmas questions that I will have for both of you. So
Okay.
first question, and we'll start with Kathryn, and then, so what is your favorite holiday drink?
Ooh, you know what? I have to harken back to my English roots. Harvey's Bristol Cream. It's a sherry. So
never
we
heard of
we
that.
get several bottles of that around Christmas time. You have it with some ice cubes.
Oh,
Yeah, some fun story that I've loved sherry since I was little, because my parents would leave a glass around the house. Like my siblings and I would be slurping back on there. Harvey's Bristol Cream.
what about you? What's your favorite?
This is gonna sound super French, but it's also the only time I allow myself to buy like nice bottles of champagne. Kir Royal, like a Kir Royal
Ooh,
champagne with creme de cassis, and it's really good.
yeah, there you
See
go.
that first one. Nice.
All right. Oh, good. What is your favorite holiday cookie or treat?
Oh, Lord. Oh, there's so many. Christmas is the most impossible time to maintain any kind of diet or lose weight or
Yeah.
anything like that. So I'm just like, go for it. Oh, there's so many, because I love mince pies and custard. Like I grew up with that, which I understand mince pies are very much a confusion to North Americans. It's not mince meat, it's like fruit and
Yeah.
that mixed with custard.
Never
so
had one. Should try it sometime.
delicious. And then chocolate Swiss rolls. They're not that
Oh.
easy, but
Mhm.
I'll still eat them.
Yeah.
I mean, I really like peppermint bark. I don't know if that qualifies.
That counts.
It's always like my mom will meet and she'll make like a boatload of food, and then she'll always have different stations of things just there for whenever you quote unquote need it. So chocolate covered almonds and then peppermint bark is just there in between different servings. So I guess that's as close as I get.
I feel you have to tell Rachel about your tradition when you go home as well, before you're allowed to eat.
I can't believe you remember that.
I do. This is one of our many in-depth Zoom conversations prior to filming. So take it away, Ollie.
Well, so my mom likes to cook a lot of food. Even if there's for 4 people, she cooks for 20. And but we're not allowed to touch anything before we dance at least 2 songs, 2 songs of her choosing. And I swear every year it gets weirder and weirder, just to see if we will do it. But like, we have to dance 2 songs, and we can't just pretend. We have to dance, and then we kind of sit down laughing, half glowing from the sweat, and then we start to eat. So it's a weird tradition, but it's one that we've maintained forever.
Perfect.
All right. What is your favorite Christmas song or carol?
I'm trying to think. Hark the Herald Angels Sing. My brother and I did a show, this must be 10 years ago, before I'd started theatre school, and it was a version of Scrooge and Marley, and we were part of the choir, and it was a cappella singing. And Hark the Herald Angels Sing, when you hear all the harmonies of like soprano, alto, baritone, and bass, it was beautiful. So even when I see my brother nowadays, we'll still like remember our harmonies and do that. Don't ask me to do it right now. I've not. Hark the Herald Angels Sing would be my favorite.
Oh,
beautiful, especially in like in a church setting, like Church of England schools and everything, like those big auditoriums where you have the most magnificent echo balance and everything. It can sound really beautiful.
You have a favorite, Olivier?
Hands down, What's This from Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas.
Very good. I like that. That's a good pick. All right. Which do you like better, Scrooge or the Grinch?
Ooh,
good question.
Well, both of them have such good, moral stories to them. To be honest, I didn't grow up with Dr. Seuss particularly. In the UK, we had, one of our other childhood specials would be Roald Dahl, so Matilda and the Twits and things like that. Those are the books I grew up with. Of course, Jim Carrey's version of the Grinch is epic performance. I feel though I have to lean towards Christmas Carol, Scrooge story. Both of them, again, great themes about forgiveness and forgetting of the past, and looking for the future and moving ahead. But I think Christmas Carol would be my favorite between the 2.
Same. I think there's depths in that story that we don't often sort of go into, but archetypally it's just such a beautiful story and has so much depth. Not that the Grinch doesn't. I identify more with what Kathryn is saying.
Which do you like better, clear lights or colored?
Clear.
Yeah.
Love clear.
All right. Would you rather be in a snowball fight or build a snowman?
Snowball fight.
If I'm winning a snowball fight, ample fortress snowball fight.
Would you consider yourself a good gift wrapper or not?
Terrible.
I feel that my years in retail still do not come to my help in those moments. So by the end of it all, I'm like, I've cracked this, but there's already 7 or 8 terribly wrapped gifts.
It's always more costly in tape.
Yeah.
I'm the
think
worst.
of this for gift bags, right?
Gift bags, absolutely, and nice colored tissue paper.
That's right. Last question. Do you have an ugly Christmas sweater? And what does it look like?
I don't. Not anything that's particular. I have ugly sweaters. They're so comfy for lying around the house, and I've got a puppy right now that likes to take delight in eating my clothing. But nothing that's particularly Christmas themed.
Yeah. Right. Olivia, do you sport a Christmas sweater?
No, I have a Christmas onesie that is a Yeti. It is a full-on white Yeti, and it reminds me of, I guess, the Yeti or the bad guy in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Yeah, that's what I wear.
Very good. All right, you did it.
There's
You
a
passed
villain
the
theme.
test. You answered all the questions.
Perfect. What do we get? What's our prize?
Yeah, you're gonna keep making great movies.
Yay!
So thank you so much for coming and talking with us. This was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. And so do you want to each share yours, like social medias or anything like that?
Sure. I always feel that mine seems so pretentious when I say it, but I suppose that we just say the @ and then what it is. Okay.
All right.
Don't judge me based on my I've got quite a common last name. I'm like basically on IMDb Kathryn Davis the 8th, literally. But my Instagram, that's the word, is at the _Kathryn _Kathryn Davis DAVIS. Don't judge me.
If you're hearing me type away, it's because I have to find it. My @ is Olivier OLIVIER J Renaud RENAUD. And my website is also my first name, last name, olivierrenaud.com.
And we'll have that all in the description. So thank you so much to both of you, and I hope you have a very, very Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
It was great to meet you both.
Lovely to meet you. Seeing you, Ollie, as well. All the best.
Good to see you too.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Make sure you catch Christmas on Fifth Avenue on UPtv, and they have over 500 hours of holiday programming. And Christmas on Fifth Avenue has already aired, but it's going to be replaying throughout the holiday season. So make sure to catch it. And there's hundreds of original and family favorite holiday movies and shows as part of UPTV's Merry Movie Christmas. Go to uptv.com for air times. You think you'll really enjoy it. I really did. So we'd like to thank Kathryn and Olivier for coming on the podcast. It was so much fun to get to talk with them. I really had a good time with this one. I hope you did too, watching and listening. And let us know what you think. If you got to see it, what did you think? And what did you think of our interview? I always like kind of diving deep into these movies and getting the process and learning about what it was like behind the scenes. It's just fun. And so make sure you're following the podcast at Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. That really helps us so much. And it only takes a second of your time, and it would really, really be beneficial to the podcast. So please leave your 5-star reviews on iTunes. And then also, if you are watching on YouTube, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. We also have our patron group, which is a lot of fun. And we have our patron watch along of Christmastown with director David Weaver coming up on the 16th. And also we have our merch store, which has tons of holiday inspired designs and other fun designs for the hardy, postable Hallmark fan in your life. So please take a look at that. We would so appreciate it. And thanks so much to everybody. And we'll talk to y'all later. Bye. Merry Christmas.